Most people are just scratching the surface with ChatGPT. Okay, and today I'm going to talk about two ChatGPT features that you're probably not using enough of. I know when I'm talking to people and introducing people to how to use AI and especially chatbots like ChatGPT, this one comes up. In fact, it came up twice in the last 2 days. What I'm finding is that a lot of people are still asking it pretty simple questions and just getting simple answers. So think about there's a lot of people using ChatGPT or Claude or Grok, any one of the LLMs. They're using these kind of like they would have used a Google search, like old habits die hard. And people are just asking simple questions like, what's the weather today? Or maybe you've ventured into writing something that looks like a generative request, like you're wanting it to do something for you, but it's still too simple. It's things like write me a social media post or write this email for me. And that's fine. There's great value in all of those. But the truth is, if that's all that you're doing, you're leaving a lot of value on the table. Okay, so today I'm going to show you two features inside of ChatGPT that have completely changed the way that I organize my work and repurpose my content. It saves me a lot of time. It feels like it takes a lot of time to set these up in the very beginning, but once you set them up, it saves you so much time down the road. And there's a couple of key features here that can actually save other people on your team a lot of time too. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that here coming up in a few minutes. So what we're going to look at today are basically these two features. Probably many of you are already familiar, or you've seen them on the screen, or perhaps you've wondered what it would look like to actually use these features. And maybe you've already using them, but maybe today you can learn a few additional tips and techniques for how to set them up and use them. So the first one we'll look at is projects. What are projects used for? How do you set them up? And why they can save you hours of frustration. The second one is custom GPTs. I really like this one. I first started using this one over a year ago. It's a game changer. You'll learn what they are, when you can use them, and I'm going to walk you through on screen one of my favorite ones, one that I created for myself that I call the Content Repurpose Pro. And by the end of this video, you'll know how I personally use the features and then maybe give you some ideas on what you can do to use them for yourself right away and also for your team at work. Okay, so let's start with projects. I'm going to go over and share my screen and show you just how I have these set up. You'll see some of my projects and some of my GPTs on screen as well. And if you've used ChatGPT for any length of time, you know that conversations can get messy. You start chatting and then you ask it some other questions and it gives you some feedback and then you ask it to change it. And then you get another idea, so you start a new chat and then you start a new chat and then you start a new chat. And before you know it, it can become really disorganized, right? You've got all these chats and you're trying to find stuff, and if you renamed it or if you didn't rename it, if you just left the default name in there, it can be a lot to keep up with. That's where projects come in. Okay, so you'll see on the screen, we've got several projects listed here, and I'll walk you through a couple of those in just a moment. But you can think of it as a workspace where you can keep everything related to one topic or one client or perhaps one initiative all in one place. It's more than just a folder, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But you can think of it kind of like a folder. In fact, the icon on screen looks like a folder. But instead of trying to navigate through all the different chats and scroll up and down and find one and copy something and put it back, and now it's using context from something else, and you can't, it can be a lot, right? So this keeps all of your conversations, files, notes, all live inside of one project. Okay, so just like you would organize the rest of your life around a project, that's what you use this for, So when you get ready to start a chat, think about, is this going to be a one-time only thing, or is this the start of lots of different chats I'm going to have around one particular area of my life or one particular area of work? So if you're doing a project for a client, or if you're doing a project that is, a short-term project to improve something or to make something better or to deliver something, or like anything you want to do that has a beginning and an end, and you're going to have multiple chats in there about that topic, that's a great case for using the project feature in ChatGPT. So you can see some of the different projects I have here. In fact, I have one for my AI journey, which is this series of videos and content that I'm making around these videos. Here's a really cool one. I'll just show you this one, and it kind of consolidates a lot of information inside. So it's Giant content creation. In my business, D4 Concepts, my business partner and I are both certified Giant coaches. And we license a lot of content from Giant. I've collected a lot of content. They send us a lot of content. And I also send out marketing emails, or perhaps some of you are on my list and have gotten these emails. This just consolidates a lot of that information into one place where I can have continuous chats or start new chats around this one particular topic and using information there. So you'll see how this is set up. So I gave it a name, Giant Content Creation, and I have several chats already in here. I can see the dates and when I started those chats, and each one of these are different chats around a topic that fits within this world of creating content using the Giant content. You'll notice up here in the right part of the screen, I've got this thing that's called files. And if I look in there, I can see I have all these different files that add specific knowledge to this particular project. So I've got transcripts and lots of details on the different voices, the 5 voices system from Giant. I also have a lot of newsletters they send out. I had my executive assistant take all those newsletters, clip them, and copy paste, put them into a document. Now this document is a 30 or 40 page document, it has lots of specific information and knowledge that I would want to use in this project. So when I go to create a chat inside of this project, now inside of this project, it's using very specialized information that I have given it, this knowledge that I've given it, to generate content that's very specific to this particular area. And you can see there's a way that you can edit this, and you can also make changes to it. You can add files to it as you go, and each one of the chats stays in memory around this particular topic in this project, so you can see how that works. So I'm going to go over and just create a new project just to show you how you would set this up. So you would give it a project name, and if you have a type, you can pick a type there. I think these are kind of some of the suggestions that maybe be shortcuts. I haven't used them that much because mine are usually business related or topic that's related to a specific project I'm doing. So I'll just put in a name here for this one around sample. Now here's an important choice to make when you're setting up a project. Do you want it to use memories from outside of, or the things that it has saved about your other chats and other things that you've put on your personalized profile and other things it remembers about you? Do you want to do that? That's the default. So it kind of looks at everything that you have done inside of ChatGPT and uses all of that to include or to reference inside of a project. Or you can say project only. Okay, so this builds memories inside of the project, but it doesn't use outside memories. Okay, so if you have a freelance job and then you have your regular job, you want the freelance stuff to stay separate, then you would say project only here. Or perhaps it's something personal. Instance for me, I was helping my wife and younger daughter plan a bridal shower for my older daughter. And that's a really good use case for where I want to plan this personal project, but I don't want all of my business stuff and all the stuff that I do for work to come into that project or to inform that. That's a good use case for just setting up a project just for this thing that I'm doing personally, so that all the other memories don't get mixed in together. Sometimes you can get some strange results. The chat will suddenly start suggesting content for you that came from who knows where, and you look back at one of your chats and go, oh yeah, like 8 months ago I said this one thing and it remembered it, and that happens. So default is it includes everything. You can turn that off later, and you can turn it off on the project or turn it to project only. Note, it can't be changed later. So once you set it in motion, it starts building memory just for that project, or it includes everything else. So important to remember from the very beginning. Now I'm going to create the project, and when I create the project, you're going to have a couple of different options. It's not very complex at all. Add files. So you've got a way that you can add files, and that's that knowledge base. So if you have very specific documents that you want to use to help give it context and to help teach it very specific information beyond just general knowledge that it might have, that's where you can add files there. The others you see up in the upper right corner, you see those 3 little dots. You can come in and add instructions. Okay, so this is the last thing we'll see on project setup. So how can ChatGPT best help you with this project? You can ask it to focus on certain topics or use a certain tone or format for responses. This is pretty wide open, but it does help if you can tell it, what the focus is or what you expect from it or your goal or your objectives for the project. If you want it to be very casual in tone, if you want it to be chatty and ask you a bunch of questions, or if you just want it to get to the point, be very professional, straightforward, or if you want it to challenge your assumptions, if you want it to always be poking holes in whatever you are suggesting so it can be your partner for that on this project, you can set all of that up there. Okay, once you do that, save it. Now anytime I chat inside of this project, it's going to keep a memory of all the things inside of this project, but then also I can find them later because all my chats are going to be grouped together for that project. So let me share with you one that I set up just for doing these videos. So this is my AI journey. And if you look up here, and I'm going to edit the instructions just to show you what I set up. So this one it gives it context for what this is all about to help me organize my content around the AI journey. Here's my purpose. You don't have to be super chatty with it. You can just use, block terms like this. It's optimized. It doesn't take up a lot of chat's memory or doesn't take a long time to process. So content types. Here's my content types. Focus, here's what my focus is, tone and style, audience, format guidelines. You just put all of that in the instructions and then it starts to remember that whenever you start to generate content or whenever you start to ask questions or brainstorm or create new strategies inside of this project. Okay, so one organized space helps you stay focused. Instead of just one-off prompts, you start to build a body of work over time inside of that project. And you can come back to it, you can find it easily, you can reference it, you can continue the chat inside of there, and the memory stays for those chats inside of that project using the knowledge base and using the instructions that you gave it. So, great tip. Hope that helps you. Look forward to hearing about you setting up your own projects. So, let's move on to the next one, which is Custom GPTs. Now, this one is a little bit more complex. There's more options to set up, but it's not overly complex. You can do this. You can just kind of walk through the steps, fill out the stuff that's on screen. It can be full of information and files and knowledge base. It can be as broad as you want it to be, or it can be really narrow, simple, easy to use, but that's really up to you. This is where things get really, really powerful. Okay, so think about this. A custom GPT is basically your own personalized version of ChatGPT where you're guiding that prompt with instructions, with knowledge, and shaping how it responds to you, more so than a project. You'll see in just a moment when I show you, there's going to be a lot more details that you can put in there. This is really good when you have repetitive tasks. Like you have a certain prompt or a certain set of things you want to generate over and over again. Like every week I want to do these 3 things or generate these 5 things. So instead of going and starting a brand new prompt every single time and having lots of different chats, that sometimes give you good results, sometimes don't. If you want to standardize that, if you want to get really consistent with one format or one series of steps, I'll show you a couple of that I have where every single time I'm going to do these 4 steps or I'm going to do these 7 things. Set that up in a custom GPT, let it do those steps every single time, and you get a lot more consistent results. And it just saves you time. And we all want to save time, right? And you can really start to set these up so that they do things specifically the way you want them to do those things inside of your workflow. Okay, I'm going to walk you through one of my examples that I have called the Content Repurpose Pro. And I'll just kind of walk you through it and show you how this works. And it's not the final product. What comes out of this, I always do editing and changing some words and making it sound exactly like me. There's always some polishing that has to happen at the end of this. But if you look at these, first of all, if you just look for GPTs, there are some that people publish and put out there that are shared with the world. And so you can find those. You can find different categories. You can search for keywords. These are GPTs written by other people. So you can use these to start a project. You can use these to start a prompt, a series of chats to generate content for you in all these different ways. And it's up to you. If you create a custom GPT on your own, you can share it with the world, or you can share it with just one other person, or you can leave it totally private. Totally up to you. So that's what GPTs are. I'm going to show you this one that I created for myself, which is the Content Repurpose Pro. And you notice when I click this, there's suddenly a few things that come up different. It has an icon to it. It has title. It has a brief description, and it actually has 4 prompts, kind of pre-programmed. That if I wanted to, I could just click one of these, and it would start the process. Or I can come down here and just start the chat, just like I normally would. Okay. So what's behind the scenes here inside of this? I'm going to show you, and just by clicking Edit GPT. When I edit this GPT, you can see I've got 2 panels now. I've got the one panel, which is all my instructions and configurations for this GPT. And then on the other side, it kind of shows me what it's going to look like. Okay, so name and a quick description. The description for this one is it's going to repurpose content starting first for blogs, then some YouTube video scripts, email sequences, and social media. So this is a concept I've learned from other people that generate content online, people like Matt Gray and some others who develop this, what they call a content waterfall system. Okay, so I come up with one idea, kind of frame in that idea, what I want to say about it. And then from there, after creating one big piece of content, I just let it kind of create other smaller forms of content for different platforms based on that one big idea. Saves a lot of time. It also gives you consistency in your branding or in your messaging or positioning, that if all the pieces of content kind of flow out of one idea or one framework of an idea, that's how this helps. Okay, so the instruction for this is pretty extensive. I won't go through all of this word by word, but you can see kind of how this works. So first of all, I just tell this GPT is going to help me write blog articles based on my content pillars and do some other things like email marketing and social media posts. Okay, it's going to guide the user through a series of steps. It's going to chat a little bit in between with me, and I'll show you here in just a second. Using the content pillars, you can decide your own content pillars if there are certain topics that you want it to talk about or to focus on or weave into your content. It adapts the content to resonate with certain audiences. So I put in here, the people that I want to communicate with, and potential clients or people I want to be in my audience or people I think I can help. Vision clarity, strategic thinking and planning, AI strategy and process improvement, automation, leadership development. Those are my content pillars. Those are the things I write about, talk about, share, help clients with on a regular basis. A little bit about my target audience and avatar. And then I get down here into the 4 steps. So this GPT is going to have 4 steps in the workflow. In step 1, it's going to create a blog article. In step 2, it's going to repurpose that and turn it into some emails. In step 3, it's going to write a YouTube video script, about 10 to 15 minutes in length. In step 4, it's going to generate content for social media, and then I go through and outline what I want that social media format to look like here. The conversation starters, that's what these are here. If you want to put buttons on the screen so you can just click a button and it goes, you can do that, and that's what these prompt starters are all about. And then down here we have the knowledge base. So the knowledge base is you can put samples, you can put specialized info, you can put samples of your own writing so that it kind of learns your voice and how you talk and how you write and what your content should be like. You could put data sets in here, you could put anything that you can upload, you can put it in here and it'll use that to inform it every time that it goes through this particular prompt. Okay. Recommended model, if you want to choose a model, if you're really familiar and you say, oh, I want to save some costs and I'm going to use one of the cheaper models, or hey, I need this to be a research-oriented GPT, so I'm going to use one of the higher level models, or you can let it choose for itself. You can do that as well. The other thing you can do here is you can say, do you want this to be able to search the web and find information? So if you've got a research GPT and you want it to use up-to-date information and search the web, you can do that. Do you want it to activate the canvas? I use this sometimes I don't. For this one, I don't have it set up. The canvas is where it would actually put a panel and show you what the content exactly looks like. And you can chat with it and it'll change the content live there for you. Nice feature if you want to kind of preview it and see what it looks like. Image generation, I use that because I've got social media in here. Sometimes I'll stop it in the social media and say, suggest for me or create for me an image that would fit with this social media post, and of course it'll go and do that. Code interpreter and data analysis, that is, you're getting deep in the weeds of actually generating code for an application or to pass on to another application or to embed in something highly technical. Probably a lot of you won't use that. And then actions are new. I won't cover that today, but this is ChatGPT getting into the world of agents where actually it will go out and take action for you and do something for you. We'll cover that in a different video. Okay. So that's the primary settings. That's what you need to really set it up. Okay, so I'm just going to update this here. Once I update it, it's going to go back to my screen. I'll show you kind of how this works. You'll notice also that you have an ability to share this. So if you want to share it with somebody on your team, so I've created some that I share with Mike on our team or share with somebody on our team who's creating social media. And then I can copy this link. Once I copy the link, I can send it to them. All the instructions are already set up. It's going to generate whatever it is that you want it to, or whatever research you want it to do. It's going to do it the same way every single time for whoever has that link. Now, within the process, they can chat back to it and give it additional instructions or ask for it to take a different direction. And of course, it'll do that. But the programming for it, the knowledge base, and all of that is already set up in the instructions for this custom GPT. And every time I run it, it's going to run it the same way. It's going to run through the same steps. It's going to use the same kind of information to generate. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, but you want different content or a different topic or a different direction for it, but you want kind of the same series of steps to go through, this is the way to do it. So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at the GPT, and I'm just going to type in here just a simple prompt to show you how it works. Typically, I make the prompts a lot longer than this, but I'll just type in something today. I want to write a blog about how to use custom GPTs and projects. I want to give some real life examples of my own and share the benefits and some techniques on how to use each of these. Okay. Normally I would probably write at least a paragraph. I would put some bullet points in. Be sure to cover this. Be sure to cover this. I want to talk about this particular angle. Here's something I had just recently. I would put as much personalized instructions in here so that I don't get just a generic answer. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to stop right there and show you what this looks like. Hit return, and here's what happens. Because it already has all the instructions, here it goes. It doesn't ask you a bunch of follow-up information or questions. It already has all of that loaded. And what it's going to do is going to look at my 4 pillars, because that was in the instructions. It's going to look at those 4 pillars, and it's going to lean on those or tie back to those as much as it can. So here's the working title: Stop Drowning in Decisions, How This Can Save You Time, Sharpen Strategy, Multiply Your Impact. See, already it's putting words in there like strategy and drowning in decisions, and it takes things from my instructions, puts them in here. Suggested blog outline. Okay, so here's the outline it's going to use, and it's going to cover. So it's going to cover all of these different things, and then here's the opening for it. Okay, so here's the opening. It kind of has written all of that for it. Here's how it's going to integrate the pillars. So the next step is, do you want to do this? And I say yes. It's going to take off, and it's going to write the blog. Okay, so yeah, I would normally add in here my examples, and then I would go on to include a CTA, because that's one of the things I like for people to do. Now go to the next step. Normally I would have more information in here. It wouldn't even ask me these questions if I'd written out the paragraph of all that content. So now it's going to go on to the next step. It already knows what the next step is. I don't have to tell it that. Okay, so now it says, excellent, now that we got your blog's core content, let's move on to step 2 and write the emails. And so it goes into step 2. Then I can say, now go to step 3. It's going to go on to step 3 once it finishes all the emails. So you can see how this saves you time. If you have a certain sequence or a certain cadence of things that you like to do, set that up as a custom GPT, and then once you set the instructions, once you give it the knowledge base to use, it's just going to go back and go through those steps every single time, and it gets you more consistent results. It saves you time overall. It's already written the 3 emails for me. Next step, before going on to step 3, it's going to want to know what that full blog article is, because we didn't write it completely at the beginning. It's going to want to know that before I go on to the video. So you can see how this saves time. It's already got pre-programmed the steps. It already knows what I want. It's going to keep me on track. It keeps me focused on the task at hand. It's going to do its best to write it around my content pillars. It's going to do its best to write it in my style, the way I've programmed it, all the examples that I've given it. It's going to want to do that every single time. And for me, it just saves a lot of time and energy. Once I get this rough draft, then I can take and copy it from here, put it into a document, or put it into my email automation platform. And from there, I can start to tweak the content. I can change words. I can say, I wouldn't use that word. I would probably use this one. Or that doesn't sound like me. Let's change this sentence or this phrase. But having that draft that I can go back and edit, it just saves so much time. Plus, at the end of this, I'm going to have a blog article. I'm going to have a YouTube script. I'm going to have 3 different emails I can send out to my audience. And then I've got 4 or 5 different social media posts, depending on how I prompt it and what else I want. That's like 10 pieces of content that get driven off of this one GPT, and I can just set it up to run with different topics every week or every month or how often I need to generate that content. Okay, this is a great way for you to stay organized using projects and custom GPTs. It saves you time. It saves me time every single month. I know it does for my business partner, Mike, as well as other people that I've taught to use this. They're really underrated features. I just find that people aren't using them quite enough. And I think once you start using them intentionally, you're going to start to wonder how it is that you ever worked without them. If you'd like to take the next step, I am offering a free AI audit of a business process inside your organization. So you say, hey, I don't even know where to start. I would love to get started with AI, but I'm not sure where. Just leave me a comment below, or I'll leave you a link down below where you can apply for a free AI audit. We hop onto a call and just kind of map out in kind of a 30,000 foot level one of your core processes, and then just kind of give you some advice on 2 or 3 places where you could get started. We're doing that free right now just to help people take that first step and to start to engage with the tools, optimizing their business processes. And as always, I'd love to hear about your own AI journey. So leave me a comment down below about how you're using ChatGPT, maybe how you're using one of these features, or maybe a use case where you have used it and it saved you a bunch of time. And if you would like to, you can click the like button if this video has been very helpful to you. And you can also subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm doing these in a series, just kind of sharing what I'm learning, how I'm using it, and hopefully it's helpful to you. So look forward to hearing from you. Check out the links down below, and I'll see you in the next video.